Welcome back, Mere Mortals, to another edition of Meanderings. Back here at the Mere Mortals. Juan here on the mic.
Kyron on this side of the microphone.
And Meanderings is a chance for us to philosophize in the park, outdoors, in South Bank of all places here in Brisbane. Where we like to converse on lighter topics, lighter threads of information.
Mine's not going to be too light today.
Yours not going to be light? Ooh, okay. So I'll probably begin with
start off with
keep
some
it
lightness,
light,
and then I'll get to the deep stuff.
Mine was all around the thrill of working out for me. The thrill of working out, of just the energy that you get coming out of working out, the energy that you get from the ability to go work out, and this all comes with the back of just being overseas, being in the US. I always find this often in many holidays, or when I go through a period of not training specifically, that I just miss it. Like, I just really, really miss it, and I really do enjoy it. I think some people might not think this way. Maybe there are some people, I don't know about you, but I love the routine and discipline of an everyday life. Like, I really, really enjoy it. Someone else asked me 4 days ago, like, what would be a dream day for you? And my dream day sounded pretty disciplined. It was training, it was reading, it was hanging out with friends, it was hanging out with family, it was doing what I probably do 80% of the time anyways, but it was just that discipline, that daily routine that I really would enjoy.
Same for me.
But specifically, just the training, man, even today, like I'd say even today, even 2 days ago, workout, where I felt I didn't sleep a whole load, but just the ability of, I can go and train, and I have the capacity and the space to train, was just absolutely game-changing in comparison to in the US when you're just busy, you're doing other things. Now, I did keep my 100 sit-ups a day over there, and I was doing a few push-ups here and there, but overall, like, I'm not working out.
Yeah.
And that difference between that and just being able to block out an hour and a half to work out and really get a sweat on, I think some people, and I guess maybe a little bit of insight to me, some people say, well, for working out, like, do you have to force yourself? Is it hard sometimes? Sometimes just before the workout, it can be a little bit of, at least for me, waking up early. I've got to get out of bed and get myself changed and go to the gym. But absolutely and unequivocally, when I'm in the gym or I'm working out or I'm doing any workout, there's absolutely no time I've ever thought really, I want to stop right now and I don't want to actually continue to do this. It's either like neutrality or, where it's been lately, just like insane, like just so good. I've just felt amazing from going to the gym and just working out in general, being back. And I'm like, man. So I guess for me, I'd be like, I don't know whether perhaps even applying more forceful times off, even when I don't want to, just to be like, okay, in 3 months I'm not gonna work out for a week, almost for the pure torture of being like, when I come back to work out, it'll feel like just infinitely better. Not even for resting in the sense of I'm fatiguing or for injury, just purely on like make myself suffer so I enjoy it even more when I come back. Because I haven't felt like even this elated about training from other holidays before for such a long time. It almost feels like it's like restarting again. I was like, oh man, so good.
I think I'm going to call this episode a day of opposites or a week of opposites, because not that I disagree with anything that you said, but man, I've been having the exact opposite.
So I might say, to lay it out for you mere mortalites, and I don't know if you experience it, and I hope you do, that my training, while I haven't been doing my 1 rep maxes, and I haven't been doing PRs or anything like that, because I just came back from a holiday, so I'm, let's say, 60 to 70% of my load.
Why do people say PR, not PB?
Personal record?
Yeah.
Personal best?
Yeah, I always heard PB. But
I mean, actually, when I said PR then, I was like, I normally call it PB.
Yeah.
So I would normally
I
go
think that's
PB.
an American thing.
PR?
Yeah.
True. I didn't hear that word being said in the US though.
Okay.
So that popped into my mind from someplace, maybe a video. I don't know. But no, for me, just blanket, even though it's been 60 to 70% loading, just the fun of working out has been unmatched. Like specifically, I can tell you, just before, like I'm talking like 2.5 hours ago, Mere Mortalites, I was doing sets of basketball for 2 minutes with 1 minute of handstand practice. Well,
sets of basketball.
Yeah. So it was 2 minutes. I'd like just play with the basketball and just muck around. Then for a minute, I'd practice like wide leg handstands, and then I'd do full length of the gym handstand walks. And then I just repeat. I just do that for like 5 seconds. And that was at the end. Like, that was playing around at the gym.
I was going to say, fun, man. Sets of basketball. That sounds...
Like, this is not like...
That's iffy.
This is not a particular like rep schedule. But, dude, the fun I was having, it was just like... It wouldn't even matter if I was like sore if I couldn't even do it, it just felt like incredibly fun. And then I was mixing it up with like ring muscle ups, normal bar muscle ups. I was like, oh, this is unreal.
Well, yeah, I got to say your handstands are improving from the
positioning.
small
The positioning is starting to get better, which is nice. I'm noticing as well, it's when I do tucked position up in comparison to kipping up or wide legs one. So I don't know what I'm doing specifically different, but I think I'm getting into the position better at the bottom of it. So I was doing a lot more of them today for positioning, which was fun. It was just good fun.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Anyway, so that's been my side of the
That's good,
story.
man. I hate the process of getting back into workouts after a week or 2 weeks off. I dislike it intensely, and it's a grind. I hate that feeling of coming back.
Being 50%, 60%.
Yeah, I hate that. I really dislike that. And as far as workouts go, there's been times where I've been working out, and even during this week, where I was just saying, man, I do not want to be here. And I was, I think 2 times in this last 2 weeks, I've done what I call like a 5 and a 5.5 out of 10 workout.
Now, for just as a guidance for people at home, because this is Karen's measurement here is it's a little bit different, but normally your average is 7.
Like a shifted bell curve.
So 7 out of 10 is like, that's actually pretty good. Like 7 out of 10 for most people
7 out of 10
that's
is
a great workout.
I don't know about great. Well, for me, it's like
solid
work got done.
Solid workout. 6 out of 10 already. You're talking like that's
woeful.
Yeah. So 5 out of 10, and a 5.5 out of 10. That's you're talking.
That's where it's. I come out of it and I know I can, like, look into myself and know I didn't try as hard as I could have. In particular, yesterday, I was, particularly probably the last 5 exercises, I gave it 30% effort. The sort of, it was probably, 70% reps, but 30% effort, because that's, the easy stuff that gets done at the start. And no, I've had plenty of times where I'll just be in the gym or outdoors and just going like, man, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this right now. Usually I'll push through it, but I'm not like you, where I can be in a bad mindset and work my way into a good workout. No, I need to be coming into it sort of prepped already good, and then being like, all right, now's a good day.
Well, here's another example. So again, for polar opposite here. So on Thursday, I believe it was Thursday, I was just running short of absolutely everything on time, but I was like in good spirits still, and there's a time when you were at the gym, and I went there as well. And I don't know if you realize how long I was at the gym for that particular session, but I had already...
Like 30 minutes, maybe?
Already, I knew I had basically 45 minutes available to me to do it. I got there, I saw you, and then I ended up talking to a friend there who works there for, let's say, 10 minutes. Actually, just telling me a story about some other things, and I was like, okay, I'll listen. It was like, I didn't know about it. She was obviously like concerned about some things, so I talked to her about that. And then I basically got myself like, okay, it was like 22 minutes that I have to do this workout. And normally, again, and
I wouldn't bother.
There's like, I would normally, exactly. Yeah. So I'm normally coming in, I'm already lifting at like 60, 70%. I've got 22 minutes. I normally enjoy doing a workout, but I don't know again what it was, but I just went ballistic. I just got in there and did everything I wanted to do in 22 minutes. And I was just supersetting, triple setting, quadruple setting, like rest times didn't exist. I was just going like, I was doing like dumbbell shoulder press straight into like machine shoulder press, and straight into like some bicep workouts, straight into some calf press, straight into some trap stuff. And I would just go like no break, just straight all through. Maybe I'd like rest for 10 seconds to like wave my arms around. And by 22 minutes, exactly on 22nd minute, I was like absolutely sweating my ass off, and I was like, felt amazing. I was like, this is awesome. Now, I don't enjoy all my work as being so constrained. I do like it to be ample time. Like you enjoy it to be like lots of ample time, so you have that ability.
I think one of the things that really determines a bad workout for me would be I didn't get enough volume in. So there's no way that you achieved as much volume as you normally do.
Not a normal, definitely not.
You had no rest.
Definitely not a lot. But I would say of what I wanted to do that day, I got 80% of the volume in 22 minutes. And normally I would take an hour to do 100%. So I would
consider that a failure. For me.
So
that would be a not great session.
Like for you, that would be okay. So like for you, it'd be like, okay, the volume is what like makes the aspect.
Especially because, and this will lead to a question related to weights. Most of the stuff I do is almost single reps. You know, when I'm doing handstand push-ups, even if I'm doing 4 sets of them, I'll be lucky to get 10. You know, that's like a 3-2, 3-2. That I'll be lucky to get 7. This kind of changed recently, actually, and I've one of the contributing factors to my crappy workouts this week was fatigue. I think I've been potentially overtraining a bit. So if I was to say one,
would you say overtraining or would you say under recovering?
I don't know what the difference is.
It is different, and I learned this from a PhD student at the gym the other day. So there is overtraining. So specifically, the word overtraining doesn't act like what you think it actually is. It's not what it is. Like, no one's overtraining. None of you mere mortals out there are overtraining. If you actually look at the definition, suck it up. You're not overtraining. There's actually a different definition to it, but I get what you're saying. But one of the things that she was saying and talking about was like, well, because she trains like a ton load. And she's like, well, a lot of people are actually, it's not as much that they're overtraining, it's that they're under recovering in the sense of sleep, food, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, because I was like to her, I was like, man, you train a lot, like way more than me. And I'm like, how are you not like wrecked and whatnot? She's like, well, it was more like under recovering. So that's why I asked you if it was truly under recovering, although I do know, and for me and Morals at home, like Karen does work out like hours every day. So it is, I would, in this particular instance, I'd be like, yes, you're doing more training than you usually do. From like a weights perspective as
Definitely.
well.
So in particular, I've really been trying to, like I've been saying, handstand push-ups, which is a lot of shoulder and sort of like, it's this weird muscle in like your upper lats or something like that. Anyway, I've been on a lot of shoulder work and particularly just pressing and pushing with dumbbells.
Yep.
And do you follow any sort of guidelines as to how much exercises you should do on a particular body part per week?
Not anymore. Used to definitely. When I was more lifting from a bodybuilding and there was like maximal like tear of the muscle, yes, like I would go down the path of roughly like 30 sets on chest, 30 sets on shoulders, 50 sets on legs, 50 sets on back, something around that sort of mark or order. Now, not really. For now, it's more, I wouldn't even be able to really tell you specifically how many sets I'm doing for shoulders, but it's certainly not the volume, I guess, that it was in the past. And I can see that by the stats. So to give you an idea, like in 2019 when I was lifting much more just gym, I would roughly lift about 550 to 600 tons in a month. Now it's probably closer to 330, 380, like that sort of range in terms of tons. So it's there's a lot less sets and weights, there's like volume that's going in.
Okay, yeah, because what I've sort of been doing is probably like four-ish hours of weight training a week, which I wasn't doing before.
Yep.
Now this is pretty
now,
much just
is this
replacing.
Added on top?
No, so this is kind of replacing a little bit of handstand stuff and a little bit, probably like 50% handstand stuff and 50% body weight movements. So essentially I'm trying to just replicate a body weight movement. So let's just say a chest dip, and I'll replicate that kind of with dumbbells. So I'll sort of be like leaning over and doing like a dumbbell pull or something like that.
Yep.
Or, similar things, lat pull down is pretty similar to a pull up. And so I've been doing that with weights.
Yep.
And yeah, I've just been, weary, tired, coming into a workout with sore shoulders and things like that. It's been, I think, 2 weeks since I've really started doing this. So I'm hoping it's just, I just got to get over a month's worth of it and my body will recuperate. But I was sort of thinking like, I might have to change things around.
My gut feel, what comes straight to my mind is I think you're under-eating in this scenario. It just feels like it to me. If you haven't changed anything about your food intake, and you've changed...
I've been eating a bit more.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you have been eating a bit more, maybe, and because the only reason I'm thinking is that sort of training, at least, I don't know how specifically it would be, but it probably would be burning and longer lasting burning of calories than the training of handstands. Like a handstand, in the moment, it's incredibly difficult, but it's not like engaging more longer term calorie burning with maybe that sort of lifting style is a little bit more. I found when I came back from the US in 2014 or something, around that time, I remember getting back into just like gym lifting, and I was trying to eat low So I was trying to cut down from like whatever weight I was coming back from the US. And that sucked for 2 months. Like I just ate too low for my training, and I was just like wrecked. Until maybe like 2 months or 3 months, I had to check like the stats. I ate a bit more and then kept the same training, and then it was like, totally fantastic.
Yeah.
But okay, so is a shit feeling that
I'm 4 kilos heavier than I was 2 months ago. So
is this shit feeling that that training is then making your handstands just like way harder?
Yes, because I can see like the decrease in reps. So like I was saying, 7 handstand push-ups across 4 sets would be good. I've been getting like 2 or 3.
Gotcha.
There'll be like set repless sets, which I really dislike, for example. But this is tied in with a whole bunch of other things, which I'll save until the end, because we're talking about gym stuff. So I've joined the gym.
You have joined the gym.
We've talked about this a little bit not too long ago, but I've come up with a big list of pros and cons.
Oh, okay. So, let's hear it.
Because for those of you who don't know, I used to gym a decade ago. Is roughly when I started. 9.5 years. And I probably did 5-ish years of gym stuff, and then that's when I got into calisthenics, and then since then I've pretty much just been doing outdoor workouts, body weight, with some minor weighted body weight, but very little in total. But I joined the gym because 1, it was raining a ton, and 2, it's starting to get cold, and it's just not as fun in the very worst days of winter when it's cold.
You don't want to be outside
and windy. Yeah, not fun. So what should I go through? Should I go through the positives or the negatives first?
Definitely positives.
Okay, so positives. I found a couple of old songs that I'd forgotten about, which they've been playing on the music in the gym.
Okay, yeah.
So one was like Body Rocks featuring Luciana.
I don't know that. I don't know.
Okay, so it's like early 2000s music, but not the Britney Spears. It's the ones that were maybe 50th in the chart.
Okay,
but still were in my head because I used to watch Rage a lot and things like that. So there's a couple of old songs where I'm like, damn, I forgot about this song. That's cool. Things, So it's almost like a song discovery mechanism.
Yeah, nice.
Mirrors are great for form check. I do appreciate that. So it's been a long time since I've actually watched myself in the moment in a handstand. I do record myself
in the moment.
Every now and then, but that is quite useful. Obviously, the protection from the elements. So in there, it's nice enough. It's not windy, and I can turn the fan off if I want. So I got a little bit of control. Just straight up eye candy walking around, and interesting people as well. I met an old friend of ours from high school in the Good Life one in Loganholme.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool. I would maybe want to use a small amount of weights per week, just in general. So, optimal world, if I could have easy access to some weights once or twice a week, I think that would be good. That would probably be like the optimal way to train for me. So, this is good. And for example, calisthenics and legs do not equal fun. They equal high reps.
Yep.
And then convenience, they're everywhere. And then also the options for classes. So, wow, Kyron, that's a whole lot of good stuff.
It's a lot of good stuff.
That's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I like it. The pro list is good. The positive list's good.
Unfortunately, the negatives really do take it away from me, and one of the biggest ones is the ads on the TVs. So I've never paid attention to the ads on TV. Because you've drowned it out. But when you come in fresh like me, one, it's very difficult your eyes just gravitate towards this. I was talking about this with Brendan not too long ago. When you're in there, you're sitting, you've done a set, and then you're sitting down. Where do you look? What do you do? If you're not looking at your phone, you're probably just looking around, and just your eyes just gravitate towards the moving thing, the bright screen, whatever. And they have ads on it, and they play it, and it cuts out the music, and it shits me to tears.
Dang.
But I notice it. I notice it big time. So that's a pretty big one. I get told off for everything. So no shoes is the
there was
main
someone actually
one.
I was talking about this particular thing that you're going to say. So I was saying like, he's been getting told off and blah 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 and all these things, and they were like backing you. They were like, what? I go to fucking this gym, and like I go like sometimes without shoes and I'll work out and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So people are vouching here for you.
Yeah. So generally, I don't like to wear shoes whilst handstanding. I think that's pretty reasonable because I'm not lifting weights. Like, I'm not going to hurt myself. No shirt. When I'm in a room, yes, obviously on the gym floor, that's kind of unacceptable. But if I'm in a room by myself practicing and no one else is in there, and then someone, yes, you can walk past the glass door and, peer in and look at me, and I'm fucking in the corner, that I feel is a bit ridiculous. Yep. The bag, like I'll carry a bag around and it's just got all my shit in it. And I feel that is more useful than me carrying around a pen, a paper, the bands that I use, the water bottle, and then just spreading that shit out everywhere.
All over the place, yep.
I don't know. That one's kind of debatable, but essentially I get told off, and some people are nice about it, but some people are absolutely dicks about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just a couple of them are like, no, you can't. Like, you have to put a shirt on here, mate. That's sort of like, idiot. Or,
okay.
It's just, So, another one, there's no real fun conversations happening because everyone's wearing earbuds.
Where in your, I guess the example here is for you when you normally work out outside. More often than not, I talk to at least one person when you're
almost certainly, yeah. And it tends to be, even with earphones, people just seem a lot more acceptable, amenable to conversations.
Yep.
I got another point which I'll bring up in the next section. And then cost. The cost obviously is just
that actually costs some money.
Yeah. So, I mean,
maybe I wonder. So some of the cons, I guess, in from my perspective, are like for gyms. I'm not going to say Torian because Torian I don't listen.
I was going to say
I don't listen to music on my headphones.
Now this is different for different gyms. So I'm obviously in a really commercial one. For those who don't know, Good Life.
It's like a globo gym. It's a globo gym.
Globo gym. There you go.
So for me, like, obviously CrossFit is very different because I don't wear headphones there. I do talk to people. Like today, I was talking to quite a few people. But I can train. I was training today shirtless. I was training without shoes. I was playing basketball inside the gym. Like, it's like, do what you want, just as long as you don't bother people. Awesome. Amazing. But when I'm a Globo gym, dude, for me, headphones are in. I am not there to speak to, like, as I said before, like, I'll go in and I'll talk to people before I start my workout. But when I start my workout, I'm not speaking to a single human being. Like, I am doing my workout and I'm going to leave. I'm going to do that. And when, even like I think it was saying, like with the ads on TV or whatever, when I like finish a set, normally what I would do is probably pace. Like I'd pace around the gym.
Okay.
I'd probably be looking down or just thinking about it.
I was going to say, like, you must have to try and avoid eye contact.
Well, what I do normally is that I pace around. I will just kind of look around, and normally because I track my reps and sets on my phone, I'll normally go on the app and be like, cool, whatever kilos, whatever reps, insert, wait 30 seconds, go again. So I guess I'm not resting 3 minutes or 5 minutes, something like that, like in a lot of these things. Especially if I go to a gym, like the Globo gym style, I'm normally there because I'm short of time, so I'm also not really having much rest times. So I'd say, I would actually say my average rest time is probably like 20 seconds at Globo gym at the moment.
Dang.
Unless it's like squats or something, but I haven't done legs workout in a long time at some of those gyms.
How do you rate a good workout if it's not based on volume then? What's a good workout?
I think now I really do rate it more just how I feel afterwards. Yes, if I hit a PR of some sort or a PB of some sort. So if I do a PB of like 6 reps or 10 reps or 1 rep max or something like that, I'd rate that as a good one. But often much more just how I end up feeling out of it. So if I come out of it, even if it's a 20-minute one or a 2-hour one, and I'm like, man, I feel pumped and energized, then I'm like, cool, that's a really good workout. A shit workout would be, even if I did a ton of volume, but I just feel like crappy from it or something like that, that would be to me like a bad workout. So I think that there's more emphasis on the feeling than really the work often that goes into it. But it does match up normally if you like get a PB.
Yeah, see, that's something I don't understand. I don't think I've ever had a workout where I've hit a PB.
I've hit a PB like feeling like absolute shit.
Yeah,
and
I've
like
never
hating,
had that.
like being annoyed and stuff like that.
Wow,
100%.
okay, I've never
so
had
like
that.
when I came, it was before you guys, a month and a bit ago. I went to the gym and I was wrecked. I was sore. I still wanted to be there, and I was doing squats, and I was like, I can't even do back squats right now. Like I just can't. I'm too sore. I'm just gonna try and do front squats, and I did front squats with like the bar, and it was heavy. I was like, oh man, what is going on? And I just looked at my PBs on my rep ranges, and I think the reps for 3 reps. It just seemed, I just looked at it and I was like, I'm just going to see if I can beat that today. And I just like worked up, and then just ended up beating the PB. And I was like, good. Okay, that felt good. And I think I picked a relatively easier PB, I guess. So like if I'd gone for my 1 rep max PB on a front squat or a 5 rep max PB, okay, maybe I wouldn't have gone because they seemed like pretty audacious goals. But that 3 rep one, I was like, okay, I haven't done that in maybe a year and a half. I do feel like even if I feel 70% right now, I probably can do it. And that to me is like, okay, well, let's just get after it. And then I've got like some motivation to it. But I was like, I don't feel like doing squats. I felt like being at the gym, but not to do squats. And I was like, okay, no, let's just do that.
That's another opposite for me. I don't think I've ever worked up my way to a PB.
Yeah, yours like you.
I do it
hit
fresh.
It. Yeah.
But, you know, I'll warm up with some very basic moves, but you know, I'm not practicing muscle ups as a warm up to then be able to do
good point.
a muscle.
Even with muscle ups, I'm practicing up to. So even today with the ring muscle ups, I was practicing by doing.
What's wrong with you?
I do like 2 ring muscle ups, a little bit of basketball. 2 ring muscle ups, a little bit of basketball. 2 ring muscle, a little bit of basketball, and then go for full like 8-10 reps in the ring muscle ups and be like, okay, cool. Now that's like the maximum reps. And be like, yeah. I got wrecked.
The hell?
Those hurt. I actually like scraped all of like my arms on the rope from doing so many ring muscle ups. I keep it so close to me and the ropes scratching through.
Yeah, the straps. Yeah.
Felt good.
People
I haven't actually done that many ring muscle ups in so long. I was like, I'm pretty sure that was PB easily by like 3 reps. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. Leave us a boostagram or a comment if this is normal. Who's more normal here? Is it Juan working his way up to PBs, or is it Kyron doing them
fresh,
sort of
like
fresh?
warming up, but then going fresh and hitting it hard? Yeah.
I'd like to know that because I genuinely don't know how other people sort of view these sort of things.
I will say that if you're looking at any powerlifting or any Olympic competition, everyone works up to the weight.
That's so weird. I don't get it. That doesn't make sense to me. There you go. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to just jump off into why I had it's been a bummer of a week, man. Okay. It's been a pretty shitty time for me, to be honest. You know, part of this is due to having a little bit of a cold that's just lingering around. You know, shitty workouts chucked on top of that. But 2 things happened to like loved ones of mine. I don't want to particularly repeat them on here, but
I think I've heard one of them actually.
Maybe
I think I have heard one of them.
Okay.
Yeah. I only heard it from like Dad, who was talking to.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, what?
Yeah. So in essence, one of them was just related to life. It's like an unchanging life thing, and then another one was just the way that men can behave around women sometimes, and it was it's just a bad story. And man, I was stewing on these things just this whole week, like so stressed out. You know, it wasn't even related directly to me, but just for probably the most stress I've had in I don't know a year or 2. Okay, and then this was all combined with another thing I was thinking about, which got me into like some fucking dark thoughts. So get ready for them, Juan. Here they come.
Here we go.
One of the things that I've been thinking about was I might have been more successful in attracting the opposite sex in the past because I was a worse person. And when I say a worse person, I sort of mean like I would do things that I think if you couldn't like as most objectively as you could look at how one person behaves with another, you'd probably say, yeah, that's not so great. So I'd be... I
get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, though. Is this kind of like the principles of you might have been better at being with the opposite sex because you kind of gave less shits, and sometimes a lot of like opposite sex might actually want that. They'd be like, oh, that's kind of attractive in a, whether it's subconscious or conscious way. Maybe something like that.
There's a little bit of that chucked in. There's a little bit of... my behavior just towards people in general and my own sort of thought process. So the fake it till you make it phenomena. People have heard this a lot, and it's quite prevalent, especially in the pickup artist community when you're really first starting out. And I think if I wouldn't say it's the optimal strategy, but it is a very useful one because when you're young, especially, so imagine early 20s Kyron, you don't have a lot of successes in life just because you haven't been alive for that long. You know, you can't tick off tons of boxes, and you don't have that sort of solid foundation, that base to rest some confidence upon, especially confidence. And I was looking through an old journal I had from 2013, and I was pretty blunt with what I was thinking at the time. Like, I would write down everything in it, man.
You shared one like a while ago.
I was an awful person. Like, I look at the shit I was writing, and it would be like, I would get rejected by a girl, and not even harshly, just in a sort of like, oh no, I'm not interested. Way. Yeah, and the shit spewing out of my mouth be like, this bitch doesn't understand. Like, I'm gonna be the fucking greatest. Like, I'm the king. That sort of. And it was sort of trying to build that confidence in a way through that faking of it. So whenever anyone like completely dismisses it, I sort of think like, no, it can be useful, but you want to outgrow it. Like, if you don't, because the whole point is making it, so you need to be putting in the groundwork whilst you're faking it, so that one day you're making it, and then you don't have to fake it anymore. That sort of thing. So I think I've reached that stage in many ways. Like, I don't lack for confidence in terms of my ability to do things in life, I guess, to have success, to get what I want. But when I've been thinking about it recently, I've sort of come to the conclusion that I'm not normal. Like, I don't think anyone's particularly normal.
100%. Karen is not normal. Me and my life, he is not normal.
I asked my dad this the other day, and I said, like, out of me and my brother, who's more weird? And now my brother's definitely weird as well.
He's weird, but I'd say he's weird for sure.
But my dad's comment was, well, first of all, he was like, "Oh no, don't ask me that. Like, it's too hard."
You both are fucking weirdos.
But the comment that he made was, you're probably worse, Kyron, because you've had enough time to
realize
to like grow out of it in a way.
Yeah, true.
Whereas my brother's, he's 6 years younger than me, so he hasn't had that time yet. But I've basically come to the conclusion that if I'm ever going to meet like a partner of the opposite sex and form what I want out of life, which is, like most people, to have kids, a family, sort of stability, I don't know, whatever you call that, that sort of path in life. I do want that. I really do want that. But in terms of me, just in my day-to-day activities, the way I live my life, opportunities like that don't particularly jump up. I don't seem like, I've never been able to understand the advice of just be more social, just go out more, join more clubs, join more groups, things like that. I've been trying that for probably the past year, and I've been going to all sort of different meetup events, groups and clubs, kind of, but not. It's not like I've joined a literary book club where we meet up every single Thursday, or even like a sports club or things like that. But I've been going out to enough things, and I feel like that advice just, for whatever reason, like my non-normalcy just does not work in that way. And so then I've sort of come to the conclusion, and if you check out the monthly goals, you'll sort of see how I'm putting this into practice in a way, and I'm not particularly happy about this, but this is getting back to that. I sort of think I need to become a little bit more of a worse person to get what I want.
Ooh, this is interesting.
And this is where I'm thinking, I'll probably have to go and be that guy, and be that guy who's, like I used to, block out 3 hours a day, go to where there are plenty of opportunities around for meeting young women, I guess, people who are sort of who I'm attracted to, and having to be that guy, being like, you're in the gym, I'm going to disturb you and be like, hey, blah blah blah, take off your headphones, like force those conversations, like force things, make them happen.
But I think you could talk about this a little while ago, where you were saying like you kind of come to the realization that for you it is a dedicated time block that you need to do, as opposed to the serendipity of going to a group and it just happening. Like for some people, like for me, I'll call it out. For me, dude, It's either
Just happens.
that has just happened, as in like
Charming bastard.
there's a lot of times in my life where not even that I know, it's just happened. It's just happened. And, you know, even recently, like, again, it was through a group scenario of playing sports that I've just come across somebody else again. It's like, man, this is wild. How is this happening? Now, I think to some people it does work out that way. And I think, like, for me, I'm probably in a group setting. I am outgoing. I am communicative. I do make the time, I guess, in those spaces. I don't know if you can really quantify it or structure it in a way. Just sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it did seem, I mean, if you look back into your details, like, it worked when you were putting in those blocks. Like, it actually worked. Like, I was talking to somebody about, you know, your South American trip. And now, even in, say, South American trip, like, you were finding people. You were connecting with the opposite sex in a lot of ways. You found a partner. Like, there was a lot of times that you were doing that. You were probably spending quite a good amount of time to make it happen. Whereas at the moment, it's like, it's through different means. So
it wasn't this. So my mindset was not, you know, I go to a new hostel. You know, I was moving city roughly every 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks. My general mindset wasn't, I go to a hostel and friends just happen. It's like, no, I have to make friends. Like, I have to. I have to press hard, and if I don't make friends there, and there was plenty of times that I didn't, it's okay, now I go out onto the streets, and now I pretend like I'm lost to have a reason to ask a girl, hey, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it just got me thinking about life's trade-offs, and I'm concerned that I'm going to have to make the trade-off of becoming a worse person to get what I want out of life. And that's
an interesting dilemma. That is an interesting dilemma.
It's a little bit disturbing, man. And it has got, you know, that's not a fun thing to particularly mull upon when you're already in, like, not great.
I wonder if
not great state of mind.
Do you think if you didn't have other things going on that were putting a bit of a downer into the week, you would be thinking about it in that way? Like, you might still be like, I need to do that, but it might be viewed upon in like it's not that I'm being a worse person, but it's what works for me, and maybe I can look at it in a different light. I think there's that.
There's definitely a bit of that for sure. The question is, you know, how would I phrase it? Would I be maybe just being like, okay, this is the trade-off where I need to do this for a period, and you know, I might need to be a guy who is maybe creating like a net annoyance factor. So, for example, if I was to meet a girl in the gym and put in, like, you know, 2 hours in the gym of approaching women, I would maybe have to have 10 interactions where people come out of it and they're like, fuck, that guy was annoying. And one where the girl was like, wow, he's really hot. I want to meet up with him again. I'm worried I'm going to have to cause like a net, net negative to the world.
Well, and the thing is, you know, imagine going to specifically there. You go to a gym, you do that for like 2 hours, and you know, next time you ruck around around the same time, it's
you get a reputation.
Oh, you got a reputation. Yeah. So, but I will say, I think it's got to be a little bit on the mindset that you put yourself in. Because I also had like a super tough conversation a couple of days ago. Super tough, and I think normally it would have been a real struggle to have that conversation, and the topic that it was like not something that I normally talk about, not something I want to discuss, but it was just, I guess, the whole week I was in a good enough mindset that it just felt like emotionally stable and emotionally secure to have this super rational conversation. And I came out of being like, holy moly, like that was, and I made this conversation out, like, there's still a long wrong in the situation, but the conversation was like positive, I guess, in that way. So I viewed it positively, whereas if my state of mind was like, I'm having shitty workouts, I'm having a shitty time, then I'd be like, oh, this was horrible. So I think it also depends on that. So I would say retrospect as well on, I think you have to do it. I'm not saying you don't have, I think you have to do it, but I think retrospect on what that viewpoint is of who the human is that's doing that.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, this got me thinking about just more things in life, you know. Because I've got a bunch of other things which I haven't succeeded at before. So, for example, marketing the podcast to a broader audience. I haven't succeeded in that before. Can I do that in a way where the trade-offs aren't
detrimental?
So, yes, you know, it's not like I'm creating more, I don't know, clickbait thumbnails and more spam and more etc. in the world. You know, maybe I'm thinking about this too much. Probably.
I mean, the only thing I'll say about viewpoints, it's like, let's just broaden it, not just beyond us, right? Just as an example. Let's say someone who wants to be the world champion, like a world champion runner, 100-meter runner, right? You could view it in two ways of being like, hey, I'm going to dedicate and sacrifice a lot of things to become the best runner I can possibly, and maybe be the Olympics, maybe win the gold medal and all this.
You know,
now, you can feel it in a really...
I'll have to neglect family members, for example, to train.
Exactly, and you could be like, look, I'm dedicating all this for the right reasons and whatever. So, and there is that view. You can look at that view. You can certainly look at it in the other view and be like, he's the worst dad, he's the worst human, like, he will never go on a relationship, he won't ever eat, like, different things, he won't do all these things because he's doing this thing. Now, it's kind of like, do you look at it one way? Do you look at it the other? And if ultimately it is super important to be, like, the best runner, or in this example being, like, if it's super important that you find the right partner to have, a life with, and it might be, like, one of the more important things in life, then you'll be like, okay, I do have to do certain things to get to that. Because, like, say someone who, like, their absolute dream is that they are going to be a 100-meter runner, and, like, I'm sure there's some people who it's like, or if they don't, like, they're going to be sad and, like, stressed and annoyed for the rest of their life. But if they do it, and they accomplish it, and they're happy about it, then they can change. They can be completely... I think Jocko also talked about this being, like, he would used to get back from work, like, when he very first started being, like, a SEAL. He would finish work, he'd get home at, like, 6 o'clock. He'd literally, like, get home, and they had, like, 3 kids. And, like, his wife would, like, see him get home. He'd pick up his jiu-jitsu bag, and he'd just head straight out and would come back at, like, 9 p.m. And he would do that, like, daily. And they're having a bit of a conversation, banter of being like, well, that's really selfish. Like, it's a very selfish thing. And he's like, well, yeah, I guess if I look at it, yes, it was a very selfish thing. But then the opposite tale, he was like, if I didn't go, his wife would see how annoyed he would be and how much of an annoyance and frustrated he would be. And so they were like, well, at the end, it's kind of like, it's better that he goes away and does that because he's just going to be worse off. Yeah. Now, some people out there listening to this being moralized be like, I would hate to be with a person like that. I get it. Like, you know, so there's going to be people in all fathoms and spectrums of it. You also got to decide what's the thing that you find important. And if that's a really important thing, then you might have to do some things where it's like, okay, well, I've got to do that to be able to get that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is.
Yeah. I wonder if it's almost just like I'm sort of in a bitching bad mindset because I haven't sorted out those priorities yet. Like, I know the trade-offs, for example, but it's maybe because I haven't set in stone, like, you know, this is how much I'll allow myself to be, like, almost, like, assertive, aggressive when talking with women, for example. Because I'm a pretty passive dude, but that's not usually the most attractive thing in that women find. So,
like, I wouldn't say that I'm default very, like, supremely assertive. But I will be. I'm assertive. I'm assertive in most of the conversations.
I don't know about that.
maybe
if I had to compare you to the average person, I'd put you in like...
Maybe it's small. Yeah.
I'd put you pretty high up on that scale.
One thing I would recommend, I reckon you should re-listen to this podcast in a time when you're in a good mood. Just that bit you talked about, to see if it rings true still, or if you're like, oh man, I didn't think about it this way, and then kind of like maybe mediates the thoughts. So it doesn't help if you're like just talking about whatever.
Yeah. You know, usually if I look at it in an optimistic mood, I'll be like, fuck, Aaron, you're doing the world good. Like, all those chicks who now get to interact with you because you're being more assertive, fuck, that's a net positive for the world.
It's a win-win.
You know?
It's a win-win.
So, yeah, it does depend on that. So, yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, fucking just a not fun week for sure.
Well, there you go. It's been a bit of a week of opposites. So, is there anything else you want to share?
No, I think that's a decent place to end it off.
All right, folks. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. Me and Mortalites. This has been a big conversation. Been a couple of little tidbits in there that I think you should jump in and boost your game.
Here's a suggestion. They should do the opposite. So it's a week of opposites, right? So they should do the opposite of what they normally do. Now, what do they normally do? Well, I look at the numbers, and most of them don't boostagram. So
there's
this week,
a lot of you people watching, and
they should
the
boostagram.
Percentage of boostagramming is few and far between in comparison to the views.
So Peter, I'll give you a break for this week.
Yeah, Peter can have a break. But for the rest of you, have a look, investigate into cryptocurrencies if you are so inclined. But you can go through, it's only micropayment of boostagramming, but go to our website if you want to see the different podcasts that you can operate with. I'd suggest Fountain,
yep.
It's a good one.
Links in the top right.
Links in the top right. Go check them out. But yes, you can obviously comment back to us through a boostagram. You can also be streaming some Satoshis to us. All of that is good, and we do read them out during our meetings as well, during our boostagram lounge. So we do suggest you participate so you can be in the podcast with us, with the Mere Mortals. For now, Mere Mortals, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for the opposite day conversation. One out.
Karen, depressed out.
Woo!